All right, today's date is April 3rd, 2023, and today we are interviewing Charlie Ferguson, well known around town at the Farley Boat Works and other places. He's going to talk about boat building and also commercial fishing in the 70s. Anything you want to add to that as a title?
No, that's not good enough, something like that.
Okay, all right, go ahead, Charlie, take over. You can go.
Okay, back in about 1970, 71, actually I think one of the main reasons I even ended up in this part of the country was the Vietnam War was spooling down, but the people that was hiring people out of college didn't know so then my partner was sort of in a limbo, you couldn't, so we decided, well, we'd been visiting Port Aransas one time, went to a bachelor party back about in 68, and so, well, let's just build us a boat, and we go down there, because we knew there'd be a lot of construction work after Hurricane Celia, and so we built this, at that time, like in popular mechanics, popular science, a lot of people was always, they were talking about people building ferrocement boats. And so, and that's a picture, saw how you do it, and we looked up in the back of a magazine, someone sent off for construction detailed, how to do the, how the framework and everything worked, little book, and we built this ferrocement boat, but we'd, earlier when we was about juniors in college, we'd built this damn tar boat, and it was a skeleton of a boat, and then it was covered with a truck tarp, and then hot mopped with asphalt, and we had so much fun with that with our friends, because most people had a boat back then, might have a ski boat or something. But it was real fun to have a boat that would haul like 15 or 20 people. And so we sort of found some kind of design information on how to build a 18-foot dory out of, I don't know what, wood, I suppose. And we said we just expand this up to about the 28, 30 foot size, like a lot of lifeboats are. So we built this thing in about 6 months, and also built the trailer for it as we went, and then we lit out probably about the spring of 72 or something, and come down to Port Aransas, and that was a trip in and of itself. We had one truck wreck and had to rent a welding machine. We got Port Aransas Pass, which was completely broke, but we did get a place to keep the boat in the marina over there. And then we hadn't known anything about shrimping, and because shrimping was really booming when we got to town, because all these people had got subsidies from the government to rebuild the fleet. And so anyhow, we ended up going, we got a job on a shrimp boat, and we went shrimping. And let's see, these are more pictures there. But most all these pictures about shrimping I took were in the first season shrimping, because after that you got tired of thinking about it, much less taking pictures of it.
Remember, you have to show it where the camera can see it.
Okay. All right. Let's see what I
You want to flip through them and I'll zoom in?
What?
I said you want to flip through them and I'll zoom in?
Yeah,
Good, I'm zoomed in now.
Okay, let's go ahead. this first picture here, that's what the catch as you dump it on deck looks like. This picture here, taken the same day. That's how much shrimp we got out of that.
Wow.
It wasn't a very good drag. Yeah, this picture here, that's just on deck shrimp boat, and I don't know. This right here is, like I say, this is my first or second trip shrimping. That's a picture of a squid and an octopus side by side to show the difference. You know.
Wait, hold on, I'm gonna really zoom in on that one. Oh yeah.
Right.
Very cool.
Yeah, this is when we first started getting freezers on the shrimp boat. This machine in the background there is what they call a hatch cover freezer. And you just took a regular ice boat and you replaced the hatch with this freezing unit that ran off of Mercedes-Benz diesel, and you had to have fuel lines run on deck. It was real sorry, half-assed deal. Another year or so they got some. Yeah, right here, this is one of my shipmates here. And some fish there. There's some more fish. Somebody's foot in there. Nothing. Yeah, that's just, the other day is rainy that day, and that's more foul weather year like that a lot.
How big was the shrimp boat?
Huh?
How big was the shrimp boat?
76, 78 footers.
Okay, classic Gulf size.
What is this one? That's just a picture of the door racks and how the nets are hung up. That's another picture. This is the bag of the shrimp coming over the side. It's that right as we haul back, and that's the, the bag there coming. That's, it'll be about probably 1,500 pounds of everything put together. Side that side. This is a picture of the doors hanging out when you're anchored up during daytime. And this is the tri-net doors, and this is the main rig doors over here. That's what you do with them.
So somebody that's watching this that doesn't know what the function of the doors and the tri-net is, do you want to explain that?
Yeah, like I say, these doors on the tri-net or the other ones, they both what they call otter crawl. And you put the like some Yankees call them otter boards, but they down in Texas call them doors. And you set have a chain bridle up here at the first, and you have that set so that when they're in the water, they're like kites. They're set to come apart and force down. And in fact, in some parts of the world, they call them diverter depressors.
Right, so they open up the net and they drag along?
So it sort of tends to mainly open it up, but then it sinks. And then, anyhow.
Do you want to explain what the tickler chain is to him too while we're talking about?
Tickler chain is tickler chain is shorter then the lead line up, you net, you got
Is
the,
that it right here?
yeah, let's see, so, yeah, that's the ticker chain. And so, but you have to not be, oh, I don't know, like on a 55, 60 foot net, might be like 18 inches shorter than the lead line. And so the chain is on the bottom in front of the lead line, which is the bottom of the net. And so if there's any shrimp, it will bump them and make them jump up, and then the boat's going forward and they go into the net.
Right, so that keeps, so you don't have to run the net right on the bottom because the ticker chain is actually on the bottom, scaring things.
So it's
up
all
into
on the
back.
bottom.
Oh, okay.
And, but it's just that the ticker chain is shorter, so therefore it's, I don't know, we already looked at these.
Yeah.
Like here's pictures of porpoises and stuff, they didn't come out very, there's another picture, sorry, shows how these nets and stuff go together.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
This is a little old-fashioned shrimp boat somebody had over in Port Aransas one time.
All right. Sorry for that interruption.
Change it up here a little bit. These is these is the type of shrimp boats I worked on. They were this fleet called the Cape Fleet. They all had shamrocks on the bow, and it was all called the Cape something or another, you know. And they were mainly financed out of business people from Rockport, and they had real old-fashioned, real sort of quaint. You know, they'd have like maybe 6 shares in a boat, and then like somebody might own 2 shares, and somebody might have half a share and stuff. And like I say, they it was all tied to Rockport Yacht and Supply, rice gold, and like I say, the chief designer over at Roscoe was Mr. Silkenstead, and anyhow but he would like Rockport Yacht Supply build a boat, and they'd have like 3 shares. Then they'd have somebody invested in it, and it'd be 2 shares. Yeah, that's Albert Silkenstead. And he helped us out a bunch when I wanted to learn how to build boats. He gave me a good job over there for about 6 months. That one ain't nothing. Nothing either there. Don't forget, this black picture's a porpoise. They didn't come out right.
Yeah, it's hard to catch them on the surface in the right spot when you're trying to get duck.
Here's a picture of me. I think that's the first trip I was on, second, when we caught this shark. I said a picture of the shark.
Do you know what kind of shark that is?
Sir?
Do you know what kind that is?
Not really. Probably black tip.
Pretty good size.
Baby bull shark, I don't know. That's about the old kind we usually caught besides bonnetheads. And oh man, what the fuck is this picture? What is that?
You can see the rigging and the rig in the back.
Oh yeah, that one ain't enough. This is a flopper stopper. And anyone's ever seen that movie, The Perfect Storm? That was the great devil that went busting through the window and everything. And then that idiot's thinks he's gonna climb up that outrigger with a cutting torch. That's not the way it's done. Here's like a picture on the newspaper. This is Florida Steve. He worked on for me one time, and he's sitting there tormenting this damn snake eel, trying to bite onto something where it could lead it off the boat and get rid of it.
Oh yeah, now I see it.
You can see it now.
Yep, looks like he's grabbed the chain with his mouth right there. Then they start spinning once they grab something.
I might have a better picture of one in a second. Now this boat here is towing the one we were on. We had a engine trouble, and it wasn't. I've had that. That had to be towed and be towed all the way back from Louisiana. Oh, several times. It wasn't unusual occurrences with that one. Let's see what's in this pile here. This right here, me and Susie, this is a ferrocement sailboat that, let's see what that guy's name. Can't remember his name, I total asshole. But anyhow, I hired on I did the engine installation and built the rudder for it. That's Susie's there, standing by the rudder. I forget when that was chronologically. Here's another picture of the nets dragging in the water. We drag them like that sometimes to help wash some of the dead fish out of them before we hung them up. And you can see, this is what I'm looking at. Yeah, this is main rig, and you can see how you have your lid, you have your head line, which is the top of the net. Then you got your lid line, which is the bottom of the net, and then you got tickle chain. You see, the head line covers, like so if the shrimp jump straight up, they bounce into the net and stuff. I don't know, whatever they do. This is just pictures at sea. Oh, here comes a good one here. This is seagulls. After you pick up the shrimp net.
Oh yeah, wow. A lot of activity.
You got that one?
Yeah.
Because I think I got another. That right there.
Oh yeah.
That's Florida Steve there. Yeah, the guy built this damn concrete boat, that Pat Ditmar. He was really into the ferrocement craze. Well, anyhow, during the time we were shrimping, I made it a point to learn how to build shrimp boats. And let's see. And like all these people, me and AK would go around and talk to them and learn from them and stuff. And this is like James Squires. He had a yard over between Ramses Pass and Ingleside, and he built aluminum bay crew boats. The main thing he was building. But he eventually got around to trying to build a aluminum Gulf trawler. That was somewhat of a fiasco because he had to pour so much cement in it to make up the weight that he actually lost cargo capacity and stuff.
Wow.
And I say Albert Silkenstead Ed Silkenstead and Eric Silkenstead were all over in Rockport, and they all connected with Rockport Yacht and Supply. And then, like I say, Mr. Albert, after I'd been working for him about 2 seasons in the shrimping business, and we told him that we was planning on building a boat, and I wanted a job over there, so I gotta learn it. And he didn't make me start out to run or grind or anything. He put me in charge of, put me with this guy that was doing the layout slab for making bulkheads and frames. And then after about 2 weeks, he just let me run it. I worked over there about 5 months or something. And then Billy Ryder here in Port Aransas is the same as the Billy Ryder. It's the Billy Ryder they got now was Billy Ryder's son, because we call Billy Ryder, and the guy that's in charge of the, shrimp business and everything, and his sons, we used to call, when he was a teenager, we used to call him Bubba. Then Ed Dorff, he built right in his backyard. He built the Miss Dorff's, and it was just a regular old wooden, bay shrimp boat. Pretty standard thing. And another guy I dealt with, learned a lot from, was Donald Welch. And Donald Welch, I know the last year that was legal, I got involved with helping him do a beach seining trip. And that's what a lot of people here used to do before they declared it was illegal. And I think the basic business model was to, you get fishermen, get some businessmen to, back them up, and they'd build a real cheap, real big, like Port Aransas skiff. I think we had one that was about 24 feet long. And then you'd sit there and like all summer long sit there to drink beer and sew these beach things together. And you put them on your clothesline, and then sit there and do knots and everything, and slide them down, and then put lids. I don't know. There's a lot of work for not much money. Then, like I say, the port captain for the port fleet there was Dave Davis, and for Ocean Bounty and Ocean Reef, and he actually, when we got ready to build the diesel duct, NAK, we had sort of a schematic of what we wanted, but Dave was actually just took a brazing rod on a piece of paper, and he actually drew the lines. And one of the first people I made it a point to make friends with when we got here was John Nixon, because he was just about halfway through building the Pollyanna number 2. And that's the one we got now, that's Pollyanna number 3. And then one of the greatest people I worked for, learned more than I can even imagine, was John Sutherland. And he was the first captain I worked for, and I was the last rig man that he trained, but he had, Silkenstead and them had met him over in around Cameroon, Africa, where he was working for the British Fish Company, and they were already using freezer technology, and so they used that for an excuse to get him a green card and drag him over here. And this guy hadn't ever done anything but work on fishing boats. And I know when he was about 11 or 12, he had a job as what they call a ship's boy. He basically washed the dishes and helped cook and stuff. and anything else they need some help with. When they were attacked by a German submarine, because that's what the German submarines would do. They'd get right in the middle of the British fishing fleet, and they'd come up out of the water and used to use machine guns and stuff, shoot everybody up, you know. And then I also met Herb Hoover.
Oh yeah.
And Herb had
Herb and Betty.
He had a Gulf shrimp boat that was called the, let me see, I remember I knew, the Tammy Girl. And that boat was just exactly like the one in Forrest Gump, and it was a real classic old Southern double rigger. And anyhow, yeah, that's the main people I met before we built the diesel duct. All right. Now, the diesel duct was, we started building it in probably about 73, late 73. And we built it right over there by where it was called the Roby subdivision, and during the time we'd been living there for around here about 2 years, we got to know Susanna Reeder. And this Reeder, we got to talk to him. He's in real estate business. He says, we'll go over to Corpus Christi and talk to my buddy Carl Duane. And I think he got some land. They worked a deal with him. And so Carl Duane, he had about 55 or 60 acres. It's all where all those little houses are on those little cul-de-sacs over and across the street from the swimming pool and stuff. And so anyhow, we was in charge of that whole damn mess. And here's one of the earlier stages of building the diesel duct right there. This thing right here, we met this guy that everyone called the Wizard of Oz. His name was Don Paulson or something like that. And he'd get all his junk, and he'd go around to different little welding shops all over Texas, and he'd leave this junk and tell them to build this was like playground equipment. He called his company the Indestructible Toy Company. So I think Buzzy Burke's the one that built that one. And here, like I say, these earlier stages of it. That's my partner AK there. Let's see, that was framework. Then sometime along about the time that we got to this point right here, my buddy AK he was out shrimping, and he come entangled in the net. He couldn't swim worth a damn anyhow, and he drowned. That was in 74. This right here was our crane. It belonged to John Shaw, and he'd been using it to he liked to go beachcombing down South Pottery, and but the bed rested away. I don't know. It was really good though, because it had a power takeoff that ran a winch on the front of it, and you could actually control it brakes, clutch, everything from inside. And that's me and AK and my mother right there.
Okay, and your mom?
That's the best. That's one of the best pictures I have of AK. But like, when we got to a problem, like we didn't know how to do this cut and stuff there, that's when we'd go over and we'd talk to, I remember went over and talked to Brent Bishop, who they was the ones that built these. Brent built the American 200, American Beauty, and they built them at, like I say, after sea, and that's where we got the idea also to, we got all this plate iron from over there on Harbor Island. They were, scrapping out some of the tanks they had over there and that's not a real good idea because this stuff has some kind of sulfur rust on the inside, and I imagine the amount of money we spent on sandblasting, we probably could have bought new steel. But that's the thing going on there. That was probably just before AK died there. Anyhow, so after AK died, I had to take over doing all thinking about this stuff because our other partner, Burl Armstrong, Burl Armstrong?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, he wanted to be a rock and roll singer or something. I don't know. He wasn't worth the damn as far as any help on anything. But he wanted to quit building just because AK drowned. Went over since we had this agreement on this land and stuff. We went and talked there to Carl Dwayne. Old Carl Dwayne, he was sort of like some guy got named out and retired Army major or something. And he says, well, you boys need to finish that or you will regret the rest of your life. So I don't know, it took me as a word. That's my mother, father, and my son. We had this slide that guy, the Wizard Bros, we used that to put, sandblasting sand from inside. And slide the conveyor in. Here's when the do start getting a little bit more finished, got paint on it and everything.
Yeah, it's starting to look like a boat.
Not bad. Like I say, this guy Dave Davis drew the lines to it with just brazen rod, and they pull your finger here, you hold your finger here, and you draw the line. Pretty good though.
Yep.
He had a lot of experience building boats. This I think gets pretty close to launching day, that is. This is launching day.
And where did you launch it?
Out here in Port Aransas, on the ramp. Out here is the way the nets hang up in. This was another experiment some people I knew over in Rockport, and I'd seen they picked it up and over in Louisiana, Alabama, as having this single outrigger down here so that you could load your doors onto a rack like this, like all these little day boats has now. There was little racks on them. That wasn't popular. In fact, when it got sold, first thing whoever bought it did was cut the racks off. And see, this one might be interesting. This right here is where we had it tied up, and so this is like from over on this side, and see there wasn't no bulkhead or anything over there on the other side there. And if you had your boat stopped there, let's see, see like here, you had to build your own dock, And the only reason I got this particular space is Ed Doris decided he's going to retire from shrimping, and so I just took over his lease. I was shutting it at that time about $400 a year. Yeah, there's another picture of it. See, ain't nothing.
So would that be across from like where Deep Sea headquarters is? And
Yes,
Finn's
well,
restaurant?
actually more across the street from where, what's that little seafood dives up there?
Finn's.
Who?
Finn's?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
And so this is like the back porch there. Mm-hmm. This right here shows how the nets were hung up. And we was pulling 2 nets because of the Gulf boats that started using 4 nets. And so we just pulled, that's supposed to be more, I don't know, fish harder, I don't know what the deal was. And nobody does it anymore because it's a pain in the butt or something that went wrong. I think more of these people out here, these is all mainly building Fortuna. Me and Susie building the Fortuna.
You might want to tell people what the Fortuna is or was.
Well, like I say, it's basically a spray hull. And the reason I decided to build a spray hull because if you want to know anything about a boat design or something, if every yachtsman in England and New England both have written some kind of opinion-filled garbage about how good a boat it was or how bad a boat it was. I bet you I read 30 books about the spray. This guy here, he was a shrimper friend of ours, and everyone who went Red Beard, he was over visiting us one day. This right here, if you somewhere in here, it has the date of when the keel was laid. Written right in here someplace. This is how we leveled the keel on the cradle. See, we had the outside of where these floors in there was, and marked, and then you picked it up, the front of it up, until you could put a level on those, and it showed it was level the other direction. This right here is these angle irons, vertical angle irons, they were set right for one face of it was at the center line, and then when you set these things up, took a couple of torpedo levels, and you level this way, or this way, and this way. You got to say something. And like I say, the Fortuna, I don't know, one of the things we had in mind when we was building it was to try shrimping by sail power, which we did. And here's some more pictures. That's how old it was when this was happening. That's my father. This passel right here is old.
How did it work as a sailing shrimp
Excuse
boat?
me, sir?
How did it work as a sailing shrimp boat?
As good as could be expected for a sailing shrimp boat. Let's see. Yeah, here's some more pictures of it. That. What is this one? I don't know. Let's see, I think I have one more page of this stuff. Hey, you things, y'all get over there. Here's our steel door that we built out of some of the scrap metal left over. This picture here.
Steel dory.
Here we are putting the transom on. Here we are bending a piece of pipe that goes around the transom. We was living in this little trailer here, and this was over on where Wheeler Street crosses the railroad track and around its path. Had this little bitty trailer there. Oh yeah, this is when we had all the frames set up and the tornado come and knocked all this shit down. Things don't always go as planned. I don't know if I see any of those as any good or not. You know, this is our sailing rowboat, you know, our tender. This is one of our first trips out on it. And see the wind blowing pretty hard. We decided to run it ashore. I'm driving that. One thing good about it, nobody could just pick it up and throw it on top of the car and steal it because it weighed about 300 pounds. That's Susie rowing boat. You know, all the damn pictures fall off this one. There's a picture of the paint scheme. Susie always had trouble making up her mind about shit. We was buying this damn paint in 1 gallon kits over at Reiner Paint Company in Corpus. And so I said, well, I don't know. I just buy 4 or 5 colors of them and see which one we like best. And so we ended up having a several colored boat. Oh, now this is the transom of the Fortuna. And all these letters and all this kind of stuff was cut out of like 3/16 steel and then tacked in place where you want them. And then all it was seal welded around. So once you had it, next time you painted it, you could just sandblast right over it and then paint it right over it. And then when you got ready to put the colors on, you just take a sharp nap roller and show it up. Yeah, here the Fortuna after a real bad norther in up in Port Arthur, of all places. You see this all ice. Shit. I don't even know what that is. This is after a hurricane. Fortuna was stuck up on the Spall Island outside of town. We lived there for about 2.5 years. And when we got ready to leave, it doing this one little storm or hurricane or something, it got washed too far up on the beach. And so I got my buddy, old Buzzy Burke, bring his shrimp boat to Tammy. Let's see, what was it called? Hobo Girl. We, you know, I don't know, dredge the dog, I got it loose. Here's the Fortuna with the shrimping rig on it and beam trawl. 20-foot beam troll. That was, I don't know where that picture's taken. Yeah, drying the sails. This was out there on that Spall Island. Boats aground, we put the sails up to let them air out.
Looks great with the sails.
Huh?
Looks nice with the sails up.
Yeah. And this is some people come out to visit us, and this is where we was living on that Spall Island, and like we had all this old wrecked boat and a bunch of stuff out here. We had this net, and so like we had about 5 cats then, and then like if we needed to go to the restroom or something, we dug latrines up there on the water, you know, up on the top of Spall Island, and like that. That was it. They had a pretty good paint job on it then. But this was after we quit shrimping and didn't have the shrimp net thing on. I think that's about it, Clifford.
All right. What happened to the bright colors? Why did you decide to go with white?
See this picture right here? That's something Susie did, man, just on this cover of this thing. I think it's pretty.